I was 24 when I stood before those gates, my heart hammering so fiercely I thought it might burst. I wasn't fleeing a shattered life. No lost love, no scars to hide. I was chasing something deeper, a meaning I couldn't grasp in the bright chaos of London. I had a good job in publishing, a flat filled with books, friends who brought warmth to my days. But there was a void inside me, a hunger that no amount of laughter or success could fill. I'd spent nights poring over Thomas Merton, Saint Teresa of Avila, kneeling in candlelit churches, waiting for God to speak. I'd light a candle, close my eyes, and listen, but all I heard was silence, heavy and unyielding, like a stone in my chest. So I came to St. Agnes, a Benedictine convent whispered about in my small hometown, a place said to hold God closer than anywhere else. I thought I'd find him here, that I'd finally hear his voice. My hands trembled as I pressed the bell, its clang echoing like a judgment. Sister Margaret opened the gate, her eyes sharp as flint, her black habit swallowing the light. "Are you certain, child?" she asked, her voice low, almost a challenge. I nodded, but my heart screamed no. I wondered if I was stepping into salvation or a cage, if I was brave or just desperate. The gates closed behind me with a thud, and I felt the world I knew slip away. They took everything from me that first day, my phone, my earrings, the locket my mother gave me when I was 12, engraved with a tiny cross. They locked them in a wooden box, as if my old self could be sealed away like a relic. They gave me a novice's habit, stiff and heavy, scratching my skin, and a new name, Sister Agnes, after the convent's patron saint. I felt like an actor thrust into a play I hadn't rehearsed, the lines unfamiliar, the stage cold. Mother Superior, Sister Catherine, stood before us, her presence commanding, her voice calm but unyielding, like a river carving stone. "Your will is God's will now. You belong to him." I wanted to believe her, to feel the peace I'd come for, to let her words wrap around me like a prayer. But the chapel was cold, the stone floor biting through my knees, the silence oppressive, like a hand pressing down on my chest. I noticed things that didn't belong, no mirrors anywhere, not even in the washrooms to keep us from vanity, they said. Letters we wrote to family were never sent, only read by Sister Margaret, her pen scratching out lines she deemed unfit. And that locked door in the cloister, bolted, heavy, unspoken, like a secret no one dared name. I caught the other nuns' eyes, searching for answers, but they looked away, their faces unreadable, guarded. Except Sister Ruth. She was a novice like me, maybe 30, with a nervous smile that flickered like a candle in a storm. One night, during Vespers, she leaned close and whispered, "Don't ask too much, Clara. It's safer that way." Her words sent a chill through me, sharp and cold, and I lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling, wondering what I'd walked into, what price I'd pay for my curiosity. The days blurred into a relentless rhythm. Prayers at 5 a.m., the divine office chanted in Latin, our voices blending into a haunting hum, scrubbing floors until my knuckles bled, the soap stinging like a reprimand. Silent meals where the clink of spoons felt like thunder in the stillness. I'd come to find God, to fill the void that had haunted me, but I felt further from him than ever. Back in London, my mother had begged me not to come. "You're throwing your life away," she'd said, her voice breaking, tears staining her cheeks. My priest, Father Thomas, had sat me down in his small office, his eyes kind, but grave. "Cloistered life is a calling, Clara, but it's not for everyone. The isolation, the surrender, it can break you." I thought I was strong enough, that my faith would carry me through anything. Now, I wasn't sure. The convent was a world of its own, with rules that felt like chains, each one tightening around me. No personal possessions, no idle talk, no questions about the locked wing that loomed in my mind like a shadow. I started noticing more, things that gnawed at me. Sister Elizabeth, an older nun, muttering to herself during prayers. Her words, incoherent, her eyes wild. Sister Margaret watching me too closely, her gaze like a blade slicing through my thoughts. The way the other nuns avoided that bolted door, as if it held something alive, something forbidden. Ruth told me a story one night, her voice barely a whisper, about a nun who'd left years ago. Sister Beatrice, they said, but no one knew where she went, or why. Ruth's hands shook as she spoke, her fingers twisting the edge of her habit, and I knew she was hiding something, protecting herself or me. I wrote in my journal every night, my only refuge, trying to make sense of it all. "This place feels alive," I wrote, my pen trembling, like it's watching me, waiting for me to slip. I started to wonder if I'd made a terrible mistake, if God was here at all, or if I'd been chasing a dream that didn't exist. That door became a splinter in my mind, sharp and unrelenting, driving me to the edge of reason. I couldn't stop thinking about it, what it hid, why it was forbidden. One night, when the convent was asleep, I crept to the cloister, my bare, feet cold on the stone floor, my heart pounding so loud I thought it would wake the others. The lock was heavy, rusted, unyielding, like it was daring me to try. I ran my fingers over it, my pulse racing, knowing I was crossing a line. Ruth caught me, her face pale as moonlight, her eyes wide with fear. "You can't," she hissed, grabbing my arm so hard it hurt. "It's forbidden, Clara. You don't understand." I begged her to tell me why, what was behind it, my voice shaking with desperation. She hesitated, her eyes darting to the shadows, then whispered, "It's just relics, old things from the convent's history." But her voice cracked, and I knew she was lying, or at least not telling me everything. I remembered my childhood, a memory that haunted me now. I was 9 at Sunday school, and I saw a nun slap a boy for talking out of turn, her hand quick and sharp, her face blank. I'd thought nuns were saints, untouchable, but they were human, flawed, capable of cruelty, of secrets. Here, I saw it again. Sister Margaret's cold stares, the way she corrected us with a sharpness that felt personal, like she was punishing us for existing. I overheard her arguing with Mother Catherine one night, their voices low behind a closed door in the refectory. "She's too curious," Margaret said, her tone venomous, dripping with disdain. Catherine's reply was colder, deliberate. "Then we guide her, or we break her." I lay awake that night, my journal open, writing the same question over and over. What are they hiding? The words blurred as tears fell, and I felt like I was drowning in my own doubts. The convent's walls closing in, tighter and tighter, until I could barely breathe. The convent was breaking me, piece by piece, like a sculptor chiseling away at a stone until it cracked. The silence, the rules, the secrets. They clawed at my faith until it bled, until I wasn't sure what I believed anymore. I'd come here to be holy, to find God's voice, to fill the void that had haunted me for years. But all I found was a cage, its bars invisible but unbreakable. During confession, I poured out my doubts, my fears of losing myself, my terror that I'd made a mistake. Sister Catherine listened, her face serene, but her eyes seemed to see through me, into places I hadn't shown anyone. She knew things I hadn't said, my father's demands for perfection, the way I'd always felt like I wasn't enough, the nights I'd cried as a child, wanting to be good, to be worthy. How did she know? I stopped sleeping, my mind racing, my body heavy with exhaustion. Ruth opened up to me one night, her voice breaking as we sat in the courtyard, the cold seeping through our habits. She'd joined the convent to escape a husband who'd beaten her, his fists leaving scars she still carried, not on her skin but in her eyes. "I thought I'd be free here," she said, tears falling, her hands twisting her rosary. "But It's just a different prison, Clara. A prettier one, but still a prison. Her words cut me, because I felt it too. The weight of the rules, the silence that suffocated, the secrets that hung in the air like dust. I started sneaking into the library after hours, when the convent was asleep, searching for answers in the shadows. Behind a stack of dusty hymnals, I found an old ledger, its pages yellowed, brittle. It listed past nuns, their names and dates, written in a neat, spidery hand. One name was scratched out, violently, as if someone had wanted to erase it. Sister Beatrice, marked removed for disobedience 10 years ago. My stomach twisted, a cold knot forming. Removed where? Why? What had she done? I wrote in my journal, my hand shaking, ink smudging. This place isn't holy. It's hiding something, and it's eating me alive. I started to question everything. My faith, my choice, my sanity. Was I here for God, or was I running from myself, from the fear that I'd never be enough? I stole the key from Sister Margaret's desk, my heart hammering with guilt and fear, my hands slick with sweat. I'd waited until midnight, when the convent was silent, the other nuns lost in sleep or prayer. I crept to the locked wing, my candle flickering, casting shadows that danced like ghosts on the walls. The key felt heavy, like it carried the weight of every secret I'd sensed since I arrived. I had to know what they were hiding, even if it destroyed me. The door creaked. Open, the sound loud in the stillness, and I stepped into a dusty room filled with crates, old candelabras, and stacks of papers tied with fraying string. My candle flickered as I searched, my breath shallow, my pulse racing. Then I found them. Letters, dozens of them, written in a frantic, uneven hand. They were from Sister Beatrice. She'd discovered the convent was hiding money, donations, meant for the poor siphoned off to unknown accounts, used to maintain the convent's crumbling walls or worse. She didn't know. She wrote of manipulation, of being watched, silenced, threatened by Sister Margaret and others. "They'll do anything to protect this place," one letter read, the ink smudged as if she'd been crying. "They say it's for God, but it's for them." My blood ran cold, my hands trembling so badly I nearly dropped the candle. This wasn't a sanctuary. It was a lie dressed in holiness, a betrayal of everything I'd believed. Sister Margaret found me, her shadow falling over me. Like a storm, her face like stone. Beatrice was troubled. She said, her voice flat, emotionless, but her eyes burned with something I couldn't name. Anger, fear, or both. We protected the convent's reputation, nothing more. But her words were hollow, and I saw the lie in them. I confronted Mother Catherine the next day, my voice shaking with anger, my hands clenched to keep them steady. She didn't flinch, her face serene, her eyes cold as winter. "We do what we must to survive," she said, her tone calm but razor sharp, cutting through my resolve. "God's work isn't free, Clara. You're young. You don't understand." I saw it then. The convent wasn't about faith. It was about control, power, secrets kept at any cost. I felt my faith shatter, like glass underfoot, the pieces sharp and irretrievable. I didn't know if I could ever piece it back together, or if I even wanted to. I couldn't stay. The convent had taken my faith, my hope, and nearly my soul, leaving me hollow, a shell of the woman who'd walked through those gates. I mailed Beatrice's letters to a priest in town, Father Thomas, the one who'd warned me about this life. I prayed he'd expose the truth, force the convent to answer for its sins, for the money stolen, the lies told in God's name. I packed my suitcase, the same one I'd brought months ago, its leather worn but familiar, a piece of the world I'd left behind. I walked to the gates, my steps slow, deliberate, each one a rebellion against the life I'd chosen. I looked, back once, seeing Ruth at a window, her face pale but her smile soft, almost peaceful, like she'd found her own fragile truce with this place. She'd chosen to stay, to carve out her own meaning within these flawed walls, her faith stronger than mine, or perhaps just different. I envied her in a way, her ability to bend without breaking. But I couldn't live a lie, couldn't wear a habit that felt like a mask. As I stepped into the fog, the convent's chants faded, replaced by the sound of my footsteps on the gravel, steady and sure. I didn't know where I was going, or if God was still there, waiting for me somewhere beyond the horizon. But I'd found something else. Myself, bruised but unbroken, flawed but free. The world stretched out before me, vast and uncertain, and for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe, like the void inside me might one day be filled, not by God, but by me. I kept walking, leaving the shadow of St. Agnes behind, knowing I'd carry its weight forever, a scar I'd learned to live with.